I am not the wish. I am not the wish. I am not the wish.
In a small, quiet village called Lengusaka in rural Kenya, there lived a 14-year-old girl named Amani. She had always been bright and full of ambition, with dreams of becoming a lawyer and making a difference in the world. Amani's family was modest but filled with love. Her father Juma was a farmer who tilled the land with pride, while her mother, Mama Wanjiru, was known for her warmth and wisdom. She had a younger brother, Kioni, who looked up to her with admiration. They were a tight-knit family of 4, living humbly but happily in their small home. Amani's academic talents were undeniable. At school, she was often at the top of her class, impressing both the teachers and her peers. Her love for reading, especially about law and justice, was evident to anyone who knew her. She envisioned herself one day standing in courtrooms, defending the rights of the innocent and bringing justice to those who needed it most. Her father often told her, "Amani, you will be the first lawyer in this village. You will make us proud." But the peaceful life that Amani knew began to unravel when tragedy struck her family. It started with her father, who fell mysteriously ill one night. He had complained of a sharp pain in his chest and was bedridden for days, unable to recover. Despite the efforts of local healers, Juma passed away, leaving the family heartbroken. The villagers offered their condolences, but whispers of something darker began to circulate. Some villagers started murmuring about a curse or an evil spirit that had come upon the family. A few months later, Amani's mother, Mama Wanjiru, also became ill. She had been strong, resilient in the face of her husband's death, but suddenly she too fell gravely sick. Within weeks, she passed away in a similar unexplained manner. The village was now buzzing with rumors. 2 deaths in one family, so close together. Something is not right, they would say. The villagers, steeped in tradition and superstition, began to cast suspicious glances at Amani. When Kioni, Amani's beloved younger brother, also fell ill and passed away in the same mysterious fashion, the whispers turned into accusations. The villagers, desperate for an explanation for the tragedy, pointed their fingers at Amani. "She is the only one left," they would say. "She must be the one responsible for these deaths. She is a witch." The villagers, driven by fear and superstition, began to isolate Amani. Her classmates stopped speaking to her, and the once welcoming neighbors avoided her altogether. Amani could feel their stares whenever she walked through the village, and she heard their cruel whispers. "She killed her family," they would say. "She is cursed." As the rumors grew louder, a group of elders gathered to discuss what should be done. They decided that Amani must be taken to the king for judgment. In their eyes, only the king and his chief priest could decide her fate. The villagers believed that if Amani truly was a witch, the chief priest would expose her and she would face the consequences. One morning, a crowd gathered at Amani's home. The elders, along with several villagers, dragged her to the king's court, a journey that felt like an eternity to the terrified young girl. As they marched through the village, people lined the streets, some throwing insults, others looking on in pity. Amani's heart raced, not because she feared the judgment of the king, but because she didn't understand why her beloved village had turned against her. She had always been kind and respectful, yet now she was being treated like a criminal. When they arrived at the king's court, the air was thick with tension. The king, seated on a large wooden throne, listened as the villagers presented their case. The elders spoke of the mysterious deaths of Amani's family members and the belief that she was the cause. "She is the only one left alive," one of the elders said. "Surely she must have cursed her family. We believe she is a witch." Amani, trembling, stood before the king, tears welling in her eyes. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but her voice felt trapped in her throat. The chief priest stepped forward. He was known throughout the kingdom for his wisdom and ability to discern the truth through ancient rituals. The villagers watched in silence as the chief priest began his investigation. He lit incense, chanted prayers, and performed rituals that had been passed down for generations. After hours of solemn work, the chief priest finally turned to the king and the gathered crowd. "Amani," he said, in a deep, authoritative voice, "is innocent." Gasps erupted from the crowd. The villagers had been so sure of her guilt that they could hardly believe their ears. The chief priest continued, "There is no witchcraft at play here. The deaths of her family were not caused by her, nor by any curse. They were tragic, but they were natural. Amani is not to blame." The king nodded, acknowledging the chief priest's judgment. "Let it be known," the king declared, "that Amani is innocent. She is free to live her life without fear of persecution. No one is to harm her, and no more shall she be called a witch." The crowd was stunned into silence. Some hung their heads in shame, realizing how quickly they had turned against an innocent girl. Others still whispered among themselves, but they knew they could not go against the king's orders. Amani, relieved but still heartbroken over the loss of her family, left the king's court. The journey back to the village was quiet, the once accusatory villagers now avoiding eye contact with her. Though she had been declared innocent, the pain of losing her loved ones and being falsely accused weighed heavily on her. Despite the hardship, Amani's dream of becoming a lawyer remained strong. She knew that one day she would stand in a courtroom, not as a victim, but as a defender of justice. She had learned firsthand how dangerous fear and superstition could be, and she was determined to fight for those who, like her, were wrongfully accused. As the years passed, Amani left the village to pursue her education. She became a lawyer, just as she had always dreamed, and used her knowledge to help others find justice in a world that too often relied on fear and ignorance. Through her strength, she honored the memory of her family, knowing they would have been proud of the woman she became.